Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of visionary entrepreneurs and explore the path ahead for their groundbreaking ventures. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind transformative businesses, the challenges they face, and the strategies fueling their growth. Today, we are excited to have Zack Walmer, the CEO and founder of Sc0red. Zack brings over 15 years of expertise in strategic growth, having co-founded Gigson Group before launching Sc0red in 2024. Based in New York City, Sc0red is revolutionizing the M&A landscape with its AI-powered platform, empowering professionals to discover and evaluate acquisition targets with unprecedented efficiency. We'll be exploring his entrepreneurial journey, how Sc0red is transforming deal sourcing, and his vision for scaling this innovative venture. So with that being said, let's dive right into it. Zack, welcome to Founders Future.
I'm very happy to be here. Thanks for the invite, Jay.
Absolutely a pleasure to have you on the show and really looking forward to diving in for the listeners today with you, Zack. If you could start at the beginning for us here, what specific problem in the M&A landscape really inspired you to start Sc0red?
Yeah, that's a good question. So just a few clarifying points before we get into it. One is I'm a co-founder, chief growth officer. We do have a CEO who's my other co-founder. So just FYI.
I love it.
Chris Creel. But to get to your original question, I spent a lot of my career in the strategy consulting realm, right? So first at a larger consulting firm called Palladium, and then co-founding my own Gigson Group that you mentioned. And as part of a lot of that experience, a lot of our work revolved around how do you advise a company on its overall strategy and growth strategy, usually much larger organizations. And as a part of that, the piece that's certainly inorganic growth, how do you find that really right fit acquisition target that's that kind of missing puzzle piece that'll enable a company to get to the next level as part of their overall corporate strategy? It always struck me how difficult it was to find that kind of exact puzzle piece, that exact right acquisition target. And so companies often resort to hiring expensive advisors or going to databases, et cetera, all of which have big downsides. There wasn't a direct path to saying, what's that puzzle piece? Where is it? How do I find it? And it struck both me and my co-founder, Chris, it'd be possible now in the age of generative AI in which we live to both be able to say, what does that landscape look like of potential targets? And how do you prioritize them with a very specific investment thesis? And so from that initial beginning, birthed Sc0red, and I can tell you more about it, but that's the long story short to start.
I absolutely love that. We definitely want to get into the details for our listeners here because obviously you're doing so much in the space and so much knowledge and intelligence from your past coming into Sc0red here. So walk us through how you're really generating revenue with Sc0red today, as far as the core offer that you bring to the table, the ideal client that you work with for the offers that you offer, and how is it structured for those clients when they come to you?
Yeah, for sure. Just to give some context, that's the overall kind of journey of Sc0red. We've been in business about a year and a half, so we're still pretty new. Maybe not in the age of AI. That's maybe like an old company now. But for the first year, we really spent building and iterating the product. I mean, it took many twists and turns. Some of the original use cases were in very different fields, which I can get into if you want. But it really took a year to get into its kind of existing form. And for the past 6 months or so, we've been working with all kind of shapes and forms of M&A professionals to use the product. Now, who are those professionals? I would say in order of our ICP, it would start with folks like M&A advisors, companies whose job it is to help companies find acquisition targets or buyer targets, et cetera, because they can help their clients find right fit targets better, faster, cheaper using Sc0red than traditional methods. Then I would say it's organizations like investment banks, corporate development, private equity, but any entity that is looking for a right fit acquisition target or buyer target. We'll be expanding into different types of relationships in the near future, like partnerships, finding investors, et cetera. I can talk more about that. But I think in terms of our initial wedge into the market, really the sweet spot that we found so far is really mid-market to lower mid-market M&A advisory. Some of the big trends that are shaping M&A right now is this huge wave of smaller and mid-sized companies that are changing hands from baby boomers down to the next generation. And oftentimes there's not open hands to accept those. And there's this huge kind of glut of businesses that are changing hands, but not great ways to find what are the right ones if you're looking to buy that kind of company. And so Scored really fills a niche in the market to scan and analyze those at scale to say what's the right fit for me, whatever that entity is.
Incredible. So with that, so you guys are essentially a SaaS product and platform, right? And those offerings are going to be along that AI-driven target discovery. You also have HubSpot integrations. What else in that product is really a game changer for you that you're offering to your
Yeah.
clients?
Yeah, in today's marketplace for finding targets, a lot of the models revolve around what I call it the database model, right? So if you're any of the big databases, either general databases like ZoomInfo or Apollo, or even M&A focused databases like PitchBook, et cetera,
Right.
they're still bound by the same model of having a set of data that then the user can filter through to find a list of companies, which is great and that's helpful. But once a user finds, say, all the laundromats in New York City, they'll often have a set of questions around what are the best ones? The best ones are the ones that are still privately owned, that the founder may be of an age where they want to retire and sell it, that they have a good foothold in the market, they've been around for a while, whatever those parameters are. Things that typically won't just show up in a database search. And so what we're able to do is not only find that list, but also say, tell us your natural language kind of investment thesis. We'll analyze all those companies at scale and say, here's the top 5 that you should really be looking at because they meet all the characteristics that you're looking for. And that'd be work otherwise that an analyst or whomever would have to do by hand to go Google around and find the business records and not. And so it's a time savings, it's an efficiency gain to be able to find that right fit. So people can focus on the work of what humans should be doing, which is building human relationships rather than the work that AI can do, which is do all that background research to facilitate the right human relationships.
Incredible. So really Scored is going to be just a factor to be as efficient as possible when finding those targets for in
That's
that
right.
space. So just incredible on that front. So walk us through the acquisition side of things here.
Mhm.
Obviously, now that the first year was really developing, now you're really hitting the ground running and you want to scale this thing.
Yeah.
What's working best for you right now for those new clients to come in and work with you guys? What channels have been most effective for you, Zach?
Yeah, really good question. So much like our product, we've looked to what is the state of the art in AI when it comes to go to market, right? And there's, as you probably know, an incredible amount of products and tools out there for go to market that revolve around AI now. I'll say that two that stand out to me. Number one would be the host of AI tools that revolve around LinkedIn now, because for us, we still want to make a personal connection between us as humans that are running Scored and our prospects. And so we employ a lot of AI tools to reach out on our behalf to our ICP on LinkedIn to say, hey, looks like you're the kind of person that could benefit from Scored. Why don't you come check us out? But if we were to do that at scale, it would take us a lot of our time to be typing blah, 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 blah. And so we employ tools like Phantom Buster is a great one that I use frequently to define the parameters of our ICP and then have Phantom Buster go reach out at scale from my profile. And then as soon as somebody picks up the phone, so to speak, answers on LinkedIn, then I'll take it up and we'll have a conversation. Super. The same goes for a lot of our people at Scored. And there's also a lot of great AI tools on the mass email side, right? Instantly is one of them we use often, but does an incredible job using AI to get to our ICP and get messages that we need in front of them to get meetings and demos and all the rest of it. And so those have been terrific. And then there's just a host of incredible partnerships that we're cultivating from different groups that revolve around the M&A ecosystem, especially here in the Northeast. I'm based in New York City, where there's an incredible diversity of different networking groups that revolve around M&A technology, et cetera, et cetera. And so from here, we'll be scaling all those outreach methods as we reach a broader and broader section of the M&A professional marketplace.
I love it. I love it. So with that, obviously using multiple avenues here and AI is the backbone there. Are you thinking about also implementing some more predictability to that front around maybe utilizing ads more in the social media side? Is that something you're thinking about as you're scaling as well?
Yeah, I think it'll be in our future, right? So right now, I think the key is getting more of our initial set of customers on board, make sure they're giving us feedback and refining the product. Once we feel like we have a decent chunk of customers to be able to give us feedback, and we really want to scale outbound through investing in ads, et cetera, then we'll be absolutely doing that. That'll also require a certain level of capital investment that'll be funded through our current seed round. So we're in the middle of a seed round investment right now. And so that'll help funnel or fuel things like that as well.
Okay, I love that. I love that. So, with that being said, then walk us through the process itself, the sales process. Is it just you and your co-founder right now, and are you running everything on your side, or do you have a sales team now, marketing team, and a team behind you guys, or is it just you guys running the show?
Yeah, good question. So my co-founder, Chris, who also serves as our CEO, is leading all of our technical team. So he is managing the product build, and he has an incredible skill set in engineering. And he leads all of our front end and back end engineering for the product. For me, I lead all of our go-to-market, sales, marketing, fundraising, strategy, that kind of thing. I do have a colleague on that side, a gentleman by the name of Jeff Clements, who I had worked with at several consulting firms, who's joining me on that go-to-market effort for our sales and marketing.
Yeah.
But right now it's just the two of us. So as we scale our go to market and have more clients and more prospects and more meetings, et cetera, we'll likely be hiring a few more humans, SDRs, et cetera, but with
Right.
the intent of still remaining quite lean. Like I think both me and my co-founder's vision is that we'll be able to scale to a pretty significant size without nearly as many humans as we might in the past, because of our ability to scale through AI tools and technologies. If anything, I would prefer to hire one new human, but invest the next human's salary in an army of agents, AI agents, rather than hiring five, six, seven sales development reps. And so everything we do, we're saying, how can we make it better, faster, more efficient through AI? Because we have this incredibly unique ability to reimagine how companies build from the ground up using these modern tools.
Absolutely incredible. And I think that's gold that you're giving to the listeners right there is for the other founders out there who maybe are solopreneurs or are running a lean team. It
Yeah.
is so crucial to invest in AI, learn AI, take advantage of it because it streamlines the process to just different levels and heights. And every single day it's improving, right? Where it would be in a year, 2 years from now is going to be nowhere near where it is now. Just incredible. That's the thought process and really some goal that you're giving to our listeners there. Zach, talk to me about the mindset you have around bottlenecks right now. It sounds like obviously the sales side is a bit of a bottleneck you're going to work through, maybe some more predictability around the lead gen side. But what are you really thinking about on top of those things for bottlenecks that you need to solve?
Yeah, I think from my perspective, the real bottleneck is that I guess a few things. One is we're looking for seed round funding. A lot of these things require investment to grow, right? To build these kind of new systems for doing things like M&A target generation, which requires capital investment. So that's one. And certainly it's an interesting fundraising environment because you have headwinds and tailwinds, right? You have headwinds like uncertain macroeconomic environment and nobody knows exactly where to put money, et cetera, et cetera. And we have a lot of great tailwinds in that we're in a space that people do want to invest in, which is both AI and M&A with AI applied to it. And so we have a lot of headwinds and tailwinds. But that's certainly a bottleneck. I think another bottleneck is, if I'm being honest, just our own creativity to say, how can we reimagine this process of mergers and acquisitions? Because the limitation more and more is not the technology, right? It's incredible what all the AI that we can employ can do. It's more our own human creativity to say, how do we apply them? Especially when we think about how fast we can code solutions now using AI tools for coding. It is our own bottleneck. It's like, how creative can we be to tell them what to build, which
Right.
is an incredible place to be. But then you have to kind of retrain your mind to say, you can never stay in one place too long because somebody to your left or right is going to have the imagination to think of something really interesting to do with that great tool. And so it's like somebody just discovered fire, and whoever uses it the best is going to win. We're just trying to use that fire efficiently.
I love it. I love it. So paint us the picture here then. With the mindset that you have, clear as day that growth is top of mind. What does the rest of this year really look like for you as far as your laser focuses that you want to achieve that growth and scale?
Yeah, yeah. So a few things. One is product. So we keep evolving the product. We have some incredibly amazing updates to the product coming out in probably the next week or two, but continue to evolve the product as we get customer feedback and prospect feedback. That's one. Thing two is securing our seed round of investment from a host of investors that we're working through right now to funnel our growth, fuel our growth. And third is continue go to market motion. We are doing what we said before, but I think a big boon to that I haven't talked about is we're forming a board of advisors with people with skill sets from many different parts of this world, people that have served as heads of M&A in companies, that have been in private equity, that have been M&A advisors, et cetera, that can give us the perspective from all the different lenses that we need to grow both from a product perspective, marketing, sales, et cetera. And so by the end of the year, I think we'll have finished our seed round. We'll have probably at least 10 or so new customer clients or companies that are using the platform, bare minimum. And we'll have product that is even more right fit for the customers that are using it. So I'd consider that a great success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hypothetically speaking, we'd love to get a little hypothetical with you, Zach. If you had unlimited resources right now, what do you think you're implementing immediately into Sc0red?
That's a good question. So I always think about our product development along the value chain of M&A. So if you think about merger and acquisitions, it starts with coming up with an initial strategy, like what is I'm trying to achieve, figuring out what's the shape of those targets, doing the research to figure out what are the targets, reaching out to them, going through diligence, closing the transaction, acquiring, and post-merger integration, roughly. And so where we're focused right now is really in a slice of the market of a bit of the strategy, but figuring out what are the right set of targets that are really tightly fit to my strategy. What's the next step? It's reaching out to those targets to say, do you want to engage in a conversation about how we can potentially partner, acquire you, whatever the case is.
Yep.
And what I would love to do is be able to enable that entire workflow in Sc0red so you can go straight from here's my thesis to here's the right fit list to here's the right people to reach out to actually reaching out all in the system so that I can cover everything from the initial idea through to generating that first set of meetings with potential acquisition targets in the platform. So the short answer is outreach in the system.
I love it. I love that. So overall, how do you see the M&A industry and its evolution in the coming years, especially with the AI-driven approach that you're taking? What are you really doing to position yourself at the forefront of that evolution that you see?
Yeah, that's a super good question. So the M&A industry, from my vantage point, be it so small, incredibly human focused,
Yes.
right? Humans are responsible for every piece of that value chain, from thinking about the original M&A strategy to determining what's the shape of the target they should figure out, to researching, doing diligence, etc. Now, the big question is what pieces of that value chain is AI suitable for taking over? It's not everything, but the question is what pieces. And so I think in the future, what it's going to look like is a tight collaboration between man and machine, but a lot of thought needs to go into what are the right pieces for the human to be taking over and the machine to be taking over. From my standpoint, the parts of that process that can be routinized that don't require human relationships should be taken over by AI, right? The sourcing of lists, the research of companies, but there's still going to be a component of that is naturally human, right? At the end of the day, what you're talking about is acquiring somebody's company that they likely spent a lot of time building. And that's both a tactical conversation, but it's also a very emotional conversation that an AI is ill equipped to have, obviously. So there's still plenty of room for humans with human expertise to have those conversations, to form those relationships, to work with each other to chart a path forward with this integration of companies. And so where I see this going in the future is talented individuals like M&A advisors, investment bankers, et cetera, focusing more on that human component of that transaction and much less on all the transactional nature of that transaction, like all the list building and research and diligence and all of that. The big question I think that brings up is what do all the analysts do, et cetera, that are doing that transactional work? That's the big question that I think is really fascinating.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest piece, right? People in that role have to really learn how to utilize AI and make their lives a lot more efficient with it because again, it can take over. So with that, I do want to take us into the lightning round. It's just been incredible having you on the show so far. I know our listeners are enjoying this as much as I am, but truly an honor so far, Zach. On this side of things, I would love to hear from you on a tool or a resource that you're utilizing, whether it's an AI tool, which I'm sure it will be one, an insight or a strategic growth tactic. But what's been the biggest game changer for Sc0red this far?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I'll say one that's human and one that's AI. On the AI front, I will say that I've been incredibly impressed by this tool, Phantom Buster. It's just an incredibly flexible tool to reach out at scale via LinkedIn, which is something that in the past has required a lot of dedication, effort to be routinized about reaching out to the right people that now we can just automate through AI, which is wonderful. And it's resulted in hundreds of incredible calls with people that I've wanted to meet. So absolutely love it. I'm not sponsored, affiliated, and any other way than being a customer there, but I just love the tool. And then on the human side, the unlock emerging for us is having a really incredible board of advisors that have walked in the shoes of our customers before, because we're go-getter entrepreneurs. We have been in the M&A world, but we haven't walked in the shoes of every type of M&A professional ever. And we need those folks to tell us what we're doing well, what we're not, where we should be adapting the product, et cetera. And so we're forming a board of advisors that has some incredible experience to help us along this path that I'm super, super excited to be working with. So those are the two.
I love it. I love it. And last but certainly not least here, Zack, to round out the show, what is the best piece of advice that you can leave our listeners with? Just got to hear your incredible journey and all the successes that you are going to see in the future. What can you leave them with before we wrap up today?
I would just say pay it forward, right? I think everybody thinks about paying it forward after they've achieved some level of success, after they've sold a company, after they've made their first 10 million or whatever. I've learned just as much from teaching other people that have reached out to me for advice as I have reaching out to other people and learning from them. And so my biggest piece of advice is to keep teaching as you're learning.
I love it. I love it. With that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. And just a massive thank you to you, Zack, for coming on the show and just sharing your remarkable journey and your insights with us. And as I mentioned, just clear as day with the passion and drive and intelligence that you have, you're going to do some amazing things in the space. Truly was an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And also, you can go and learn more about Sc0red at Sc0red.com, and that is a 0 instead of an O. And follow Zack on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Walmers, WALMERZ. For more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we are dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.